Hey viewers, please don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel. Let's go.
Story 1. My wife cheated. We have been married nearly 4 years and together for nearly 8. We have a 1-year-old daughter, together. Our relationship was becoming distant and my wife stopped sharing things with me and would never initiate physical contact. I think I first noticed this about 10 to 12 months ago. I thought it was down to stress and she has a tough time with the baby, postnatal depression and medication. I did talk to her and raised my concerns and she said she would work on our communication. It got fractionally better for a while and got worse again. At this point I felt I didn't have anyone to go to other than my wife and I didn't discuss it with anyone else at all. I brought it up again, however this time it was in more of an argument and it ended the same as before. I had noticed that my wife was becoming more absent and detached from the relationship and I asked her if she still wanted to be in it and she said she loved me and did want to remain. In our discussions and arguments she stonewalled me. This had been the case for a while. In the past month or so I have had niggling feelings that something might have been going on. This was mainly based on my intuition rather than anything else. I was considering unlocking her phone, following her or putting a tracker on her car, but I decided not to as it was an invasion of her privacy and essentially wrong. Then I saw a message on my wife's phone asking if she was free for a call. It was from her male best friend. I was with her the rest of the evening and she didn't make any calls. I then realized that this was probably a regular occurrence and that she was hiding it from me. I then decided to take action. I unlocked her phone and could see that there were lots of messages from this guy. There were also regular phone calls for weeks that I had no knowledge of. I didn't have time to read them really, but I knew something was up. I then took her phone and copied the messages and sent to myself so I could check them in detail. I felt really guilty with this and it took me a few attempts before I could actually go through with it as I felt like it was wrong. The messages were clearly very flirty and it was a clear emotional affair, but there were parts which were on Snapchat and also parts which had clearly been deleted. With the information I had, I decided to confront my wife. She admitted it was inappropriate but said it was just good friends and that there was no romance. I asked her if it was anything more, if there were any photo exchanges or physical encounters. I told her to look up what an emotional affair was and she conceded that it was inappropriate. I asked her again if there was anything more and she said no. She didn't know that I had seen her messages on her phone. I asked if I could look and she said if I wanted to, but there might be hurtful things about me on there, so we left it at that and I said if she wants it to work she has, so be honest and tell me if there is anything else. I left it a couple of days and spoke to her. She said that she had contacted the guy and said they couldn't talk anymore and to have no contact for a while. I asked her why she didn't speak to me about this first and she said because she thought I needed space. I said, do you not think I might have wanted to be involved in that and that I might not want her to speak to him ever? She said she thought I might say that. I then reiterated how if there is any chance of reconciliation I needed her to be honest and she said she was. I then said that I wanted to look at her phone. I went through and showed her messages and grilled her. She admitted to sending suggestive photos on Snapchat but said she sent nothing more explicit and that there had been no physical sexual contact. I then showed her more messages and grilled her more and she admitted to having sex with this man. She said it was just once. I asked her to be honest and she said she was. I then showed her more messages on her own phone and she admitted to sending nudes and to masturbating on Snapchat with him. She still said she only met him for sex once. After some more interrogation she admitted to a second time and that they had planned to another time but he got too drunk. The most recent time they had sex was very recently and my wife assured me that she had used a condom, however before this we also found out that we were pregnant. I say we, the condition date according to the pregnancy test puts the conception near to the date she had sex with this guy. I obviously have found this very difficult and so had she. It's probably worse for her at the moment. I'm currently handling it quite well considering. I am not sure what the future holds and I have no idea how to manage it. We are going to speak with a professional and I have had thoughts about getting a paternity test for my existing daughter who I love with all my heart and I hate myself for even considering taking this action. I also have considered a prenatal paternity test, although whatever the result I would still intend to support my wife, as I don't want any risk or negative effect to come to my daughter. This is making me feel very anxious at potentially wasting a year or so of my life. I want to be open to repair and build a new relationship with my wife, but I also know I deserve better. I know a marriage is about making the other person the best they can, and I do try to do this and still want my wife to thrive and heal whatever we do, and despite what had happened I do still love her. The main reason I would like to see if it can work is for my daughter, but I understand that even if we both genuinely try, it might not. I know this is a long message, and thank you to anyone reading and offering any constructive comments or wishes. Update. It is just over a week after D-Day, so still very early days. It has been difficult and I have had ups and downs, but generally I am taking it well. My mental health is good, although I am not sleeping very well, but this is expected. My WS has agreed to everything that I have suggested so far. I have also told her that she needs to be doing this work and not me. The dynamic in the relationship has always been that I usually fix things and led conversations. I know this isn't necessarily completely bad, but it's probably a red flag. She has agreed to be proactive. WS has been extremely upset. She had cried and wallowed and is clearly feeling like garbage. I'm not sure if this is because she's feeling sorry for herself or is remorse, but I suspect it is mainly the former. AP has tried to contact her twice and she has told me both times. I asked WS to write out the NC message to AP and send it to me. I read it and the tone was not what I wanted. It was soft, and even though it did say she wants to commit to trying to repair her family, she said she's sorry, but the only way I can move forward is to never have contact again. I told her I didn't like the tone and she had a meltdown, said she was going to go away forever, launched everything off the table, went upstairs and cut her legs superficially but they bled, and stood at the top of the stairs saying it would be better without her there. I obviously had to put everything aside and sort her out, calmed her down, cleaned her wounds, phoned mental health crisis teams. She has now got an appointment on Monday with a counselor. She had suffered from depression before, but this to me seemed like it was BP and attention-seeking behavior. Today she is fine, obviously sad and embarrassed, but I don't think she is a risk to herself. I have decided to continue with talking about the boundaries and putting some more consequences out there. I have written her a NC example and she has said she can see the difference. She felt the message I penned didn't put enough responsibility on her, as the tone was to show him that he was wrong and that WS was repulsed by AP. Now she had come to her senses. She has been tasked with writing something of a similar tone in her own words, which she is doing now. I have also told her she needs to tell a member of my family, a member of her family, a work friend and a friend who is in the social circle, geographical area of AP. I am making her tell them and I will observe the message. Paternity tests are coming. STD tests are booked. I have divorce papers which I haven't shown her yet, but I will fill them all out and give them to her and tell her to sign it. I am going to speak to a legal professional and get a post-nup written up. My intention is for everything to be given to me if we divorce at any point in the future, and for any of her savings to be used to pay for remaining mortgage or any debts. For custody of our daughter to be 50-50 with no financial obligations. I get to keep our family dog. The lawyer may suggest other things as well, but this is what I want. Obviously there is another dynamic which I thought would raise its ugly head. Part of me wants to be done with it because it's like a toxic nuclear bomb, but I know that I will try and fix it because I am better than what she has been, and I know she might fail and our marriage might not work, but my soul still wants to help her and I want the relationship to be rebuilt. I know a lot of you think I have no respect and I'm foolish, but I do understand the risks and I do know it might not work and that she might be full of it, but for now I am going to continue. That is me being true to myself. Thank you for everyone who has commented and messaged me. Update 2. Am I too foolish or too hasty? D-Day was only a week ago, so everything is very fresh, but WS has said that she wants to stay in the marriage and she has said she had ended the affair. She has sent NC message and provided me with a detailed timeline in my request. She also only trickle-truthed me when I confronted her with evidence. I initially took the lead and I know that is now a mistake, but I wanted to know and I wanted to settle and fix, which is my way. I am now trying to take a step back from the situation to see what WS does. Today I am working a long day on overtime. I left the house at 7 a.m. and won't be home until probably 10 p.m. maybe later. I asked WS if she could put my washing in the dryer as I don't have time. I did this my text message and she replied with one word, yes. She has also sent me Snapchat videos of our young daughter. Firstly, this triggers me as she used Snapchat for cheating. I feel that she is sending me the videos so I don't question why she is showing us online. I haven't told her this. Also, the fact she hasn't given me any update on her day at all is worrying me. We did mention that it might be good having time apart to think and calm, but I feel very insecure and feel foolish for believing she might try and make changes herself. It is nearly 4 p.m. where I live, so that you have an idea of timescales. It's not a really long time, but I am anxious. I got the paternity results back of my darling daughter and it shows her as being mine. I knew it really, but having it in black and white is what I needed. Now awaiting the results of the unborn. Story 2. Was I cheated on? I recently found out that my girlfriend hooked up with another guy while we were dating. This happened 4 months before I found out. I will try to be as fair to her side as possible, as I would like accurate feedback rather than validation. My girlfriend, Jane, 33F, and I, 33M, met on a dating app in January 2022. After going on dates for a few months, we caught really strong feelings for each other, and decided to become, officially, boyfriend plus girlfriend in May. There were some mild points of contention from both sides around friends of the opposite sex around this time that I can go into detail on in the comments if requested, but which were resolved, apart from lingering trust issues that may or may not be relevant. June, we had established enough connection to say we loved one another, only the second person in my life I've said this to, and the first time in her adult life, so a very big deal for both of us. July, one of the worst things possible happens. Jane was borrowing my laptop, and I stupidly left a Google Doc, which is my private thoughts journal, open in a tab. Long story short, she saw a pros cons list from a while ago about our relationship, about her. I love this girl so much I'm considering marrying her, and as an analytical person, I wanted to look any negative concerns in the face before continuing to fall any harder for her. I know, I'm a moron for leaving that in a place she could find. It contained many hurtful things such as, not many close friends, low energy, not a deep thinker, yeah. These were raw thoughts and concerns I'd been working through, not beliefs about her written in stone, but of course she was devastated, and left my house crying and wanted space. I handled the situation terribly. I was hurt too because of the violation of privacy, and angry that she felt that she knew my mind after reading unfiltered snippets. So I sent her an email late that night trying to explain each critical cons point she read, as well as harshly lashing out about the invasion of privacy. It was not my best moment. The next day, she replied in kind, sending me a vitriolic email claiming I never knew her and expressing a lot of hurt. She felt like my worst enemy, not my life partner. The rift was so great that I wondered if it were even possible to repair it. After reading her email, I sent her this text which expresses love, but also the possibility of moving on. Her response was apologetic and loving, and it gave me hope enough that deep down, I thought we could get through this. I knew we needed space, but we certainly hadn't broken up yet in my mind. The day of the linked texts, she was emotionally lost, and she thought we were broken up or definitely going to break up. Texts she sent around this time seemed to contradict this emo. She was working on her computer at a restaurant per bar in the afternoon. It was a Friday. The afternoon turned to night, and she started conversating with the bartenders, few girls and a guy, and they were buying her drinks. She was vibing with them, having a good time and getting pretty sloshed, trying to forget the immense amount of pain she was in. As the night went on, the girls eventually went home, and she was left alone at the bar with the guy, who was married. Everything after this point is according to her, but I do believe her for the most part. She was already really drunk, and the guy starts heavily flirting with her, claiming he's in an open marriage. He wasn't, can give more details in comments. They connect on music, design, blah blah. Eventually, the bars are closing, and he asks for a ride home, or something. She was hazy on the details from this point forward. She also says maybe they just went to drive to listen to music. Somehow, she ends up driving them back to her apartment. Yes, she's driving while completely wasted. She claims she really didn't intend to hook up with him, and just wanted to hang out at her place. She admits this is very stupid logic, but she was drunk, hurt, and wanted to keep hanging out. When they get to her place, they at the very least made out, and at one point they were sitting on the bed together. Now, she claims to not remember if they had sex or not. She says she does not think that they did. She doesn't remember the end of the night, how she fell asleep, or him leaving. To me, whether or not they actually had sex is not very important, as she gave it a pretty damn good effort to do so regardless. And the next day, she woke up, alone, and apparently, realized what was important to her, and sent me a text wanting to see me. 4 months later in November, I find out about it during an argument. Can give more details in comments. To me, the text she sent before and after her hooking up with bartender guy indicate she knew our relationship was not over, so I feel like this should be considered cheating. That being said, I love this girl to death, and I know she loves me completely as well. When I look in her eyes, I see my life partner. It feels like she got 4 months, tax-free, as we are much closer, stronger now, and I definitely would have broken up with her if I found out about this back when it happened. As far as cheating goes, this is admittedly pretty mild. It was not a long-term affair, and she had no strong feelings for the guy apart from the connection they had that night, and we were both on the edge of breaking up at the time. She is very apologetic, and feels like shit about the whole thing. So help me out, Reddit. Was this cheating? If I choose to stay with her, how can I move forward while also not letting her off the hook?